What's truly special about Superman's legacy on television is how it's so unbelievably holistic. Starting from before his birth, we got to see how Kal-El's ancestors overthrew tyranny on Krypton, a story that established a detailed definition of what hope means for the House of El. It's a form of imagination that provides critical consciousness for believing a better life can exist for the poor.
Keep believing in a better tomorrow!
Therefore, after Krypton is gone, this idea lived on in his last son, who was raised with values that complemented such notions. The Kents taught Kal-El to put others before himself, to always see the good in others, to always be honest with his actions. However, little Clark didn't want a greater destiny. He just wanted a simple life.
I figured this is where I'd find you.
Just watching the sunset.
But the heartbreaks, betrayals, friends who came and went, life itself in Smallville reshaped him. So eventually he transcended when it came to living in his adulthood. He didn't just fight for hope, he inspired others with everything that was taught to him. He became a god who spent time with the ordinary. We then follow what this looks like in detail with the routinization of Superman and Clark's identity as a superhero and as a journalist.
I don't have a washing machine.
Both fighting for truth, both who enjoy the little things in life, both who fell in love with the same woman. And it's those small moments in the superhero quotidian that they poached a love story. In Superman and Lois, they became parents. They grew old and died together, but the Kryptonian hope Superman fought for, the altruism taught by the Kents, they lived on in his sons. And the simple life Clark always wanted, that's what he got. None of these shows share the same continuity or even intended to be viewed in order, obviously, but they all complement each other to create this beautiful biographical sequence that gives you a complete life. And I gotta say, the cost of everyone being obsessed with Henry Cavill during the final days of the DCEU was how everyone overlooked the best piece of this puzzle, and the best piece of f***ing Superman media from the last 10 years. Superman and Lois.
Something changing your mind.
Wow.
Yeah.
The premise of Superman and Lois is that Superman and Lois are both older. They have teenage twins, and after decades of living in the city and keeping secrets, the family is distant and out of touch with what's important in life.
You only have them for a short while longer before they go off into the world. You gotta be present.
Therefore, when Martha passes away, her final advice was to tell them to come home, back to Smallville, which is perhaps declining, but is still filled with good people and simple traditions where everyone are just together, for the reason that there's only like 3 locations. Before I begin, I want to make it clear that this video does in fact fully replace my old videos on each season. You can still access them via the Superman playlist. However, this video is not a compilation, it's a complete total rewrite of everything. I've taken the best of what I previously wrote and I've refined it around my new appreciation for the entire show after the final season, because in contrast to other CW DC shows, Superman and Lois is actually very tightly constructed, since everything in these 4 seasons contribute back into each other to create this consistent picture. And the best place to start is of course with Tyler Hoechlin's Superman. If you put live action Superman on a spectrum where David Cornsweet Sweat is on one end representing impulsive passion, then Henry Cavill on the other end as quite self-control, and then every other Superman in the middle, Tyler Hoechlin is off the goddamn charts because the central impetus of this portrayal is that he's denied himself most of his passions and impulses, because unlike Henry Cavill's version, he actually has a personality instead of staring angrily all the time.
Oh, I could bunt!
He wanted to see the world at a young age, but he didn't. He lost Lana when he had to train with Jor-El, and he wanted to make friends at work, but he couldn't risk it.
I have friends.
Not friends all the way in Smallville, friends you can actually hang out with.
It doesn't matter. If I played, I'd be cheating.
Then don't cheat. Be terrible. It's not about winning.
Be terrible.
The only deviation he made was with Lois, and even then I'd argue they have more of a vibe of 2 besties who got together. Both desire stability. Lois lost her mum, fought with her sister all the time.
She gave me a look like I was an idiot.
And her military dad / best character Sam Lane was barely around.
Sorry to keep you waiting, Pumpkin.
Whereas Clark grew up incredibly sheltered due to how unprecedented his life was. He had no clue where he was from, feared the risks of being taken away, so what gave him most of his joys was the simple things.
I know you guys aren't sold
When you see everyone come together like this, the sense of community, it's the best of what Smallville is.
As a result, Clark became content with his life very early on. Money, power, or influence doesn't give him thrills, but eating festival food does.
Every year they have this sugar bowl stand, they make chocolate bacon.
The cost of this happiness was growing up very risk-adverse, and because he's physically invulnerable, what is considered risk or dangerous lies entirely in the emotional.
Do you know how old your dad was when he got powers? He was 4. And his parents, they meant well, but they were so hard on him whenever he used them.
You know what that's like?
He was just a little kid, Jordan. And his parents were terrified that if anyone found out what he was capable of, he'd be taken away from them. So he grew up with that constant fear.
So, having teenage boys where one has developed powers before even knowing his dad is Superman has put him in a new junction in life. The melodrama is crazy, I know, right? Altogether, all of these little details create the foundations for what makes Superman and Lois unique, because the act of keeping secrets is not a form of noble self-sacrifice, but self-suffocation. Secrets creates paranoia, and lying gets in the way of growth because you have to live incuriously. This incredibly unflattering take on Superman is not something I'd want in every interpretation of the character. I like it more when the secret identity stuff is more playful to avoid these conversations altogether. But if you're going for realism, this is how you do it. Where George Reeves and Henry Cavill didn't really put a separation between Clark and Superman.
Now listen to me.
Christopher Reeve, Brandon Routh, David Constwart made Clark the Mask in various different levels, while the Dean Cain version made Superman 100% the Mask.
You're seriously suggesting that Superman lie?
Tyler Hoechlin makes both Superman and Clark be masks, so he's never entirely himself. He's always prioritizing other people's comfort over his own.
So, did you guys have a good birthday?
Pretty much. Cool.
The professional hero who can stand up to villainy. The dorky, lovable neighbor.
Too much?
The real him is a quiet, melancholic, lonely and introspective soul. It's a take on the character that I found truly beautiful because despite the hole in his heart he's always had his entire life.
You okay?
Yeah,
I get it now. I was wrong. You just didn't want to play.
I'm used to it.
He was always happy and content with the little connections he would make in life. Apart from his mum, the only people who really got to know him and see this was people who arrived later in life. Lois, Sam Lane, and then finally the twins.
He was on an island, isolated for so long.
And I just want to say, God, I love Tyler Hoechlin. I only wish his season 1 and 2 costumes didn't have this big puffy chest. But what if this version of Superman didn't have Lois? So when Martha died, he had nobody. And then he discovers he actually has a half-brother who has a plan to restore the Kryptonians through using human hosts.
This is our chance. To be with our own, to have a family again. And we'll have our mother with us. Once again.
On a parallel Earth, this happened, and the bold man who escaped it then traveled to our world to stop it from happening again, wears armor that can stand toe-to-toe against him. The guy playing him, Wale Parks, has also the most intimidating stare I've ever seen, but he's not who you think he is.
Captain Luthor.
He's actually Steel!
I am.
I can't stress how insane this twist was. Like, I wanted to scream, but I didn't want my neighbors to think I was getting ass or something. If he was Lex, I'd be like, solid choice. But Steel, the dude needs to be in more stuff. Lois never got to be with his world Superman because she met someone of equal heroic caliber, John Henry Irons, and he had to watch her die before losing his daughter, Natalie, who crash lands later on. But the point is, he starts from the point of trauma, the inability to imagine a future that's different from his past, so he carries a deep rage. So what does our Superman do? He refused to be the monster John Henry saw despite the various attempts on his life, and he doesn't stop giving him the opportunity to be his comrade. So, through the process of erosion, Steel slowly opens himself up and becomes a member of this community.
John, you've actually met our kids before.
He may live in a camper van, but he parks in the Kent farm to keep this family safe. As a result, he goes from an antagonist to one of the main heroes, rooted by how our Superman's enduring goodness is greater in proportion than the pain he experienced. I love them so much. The only thing I don't really like is the weird CW budget Iron Man suit he has and the really generic helmet. Anyway, the point is, everything good starts from home, which is where Superman's half-brother comes in. Tal-Rho is this show's version of the Eradicator, in name only really.
You used the Eradicator on the people of Earth?
Lara L was an arranged marriage with Zeta-Rho, but then left him for Jor-El because they were actually in love. But Zeta used her DNA to create Tal without her knowledge. As a result, Tal is Kal's opposite. Instead of being raised by an idealistic and altruistic Kryptonian father, he had an abusive one.
Father, we can still...
It's time!
Instead of landing in inbred Kansas, he landed in the lovely British countryside.
I was hunted.
Fuck you, CW. His Kryptonian heritage is not about carrying and spreading his legacy through living his own life, but literally acting as a vessel for its return. Restore the dead.
I sacrificed my only son to save our people, and you don't even have the strength to strike yours!
As a result, Tal never got to see his own life as his. He feels no agency.
And complete what you were sent here to do.
The only thing that could convince him otherwise is the notion that he has a brother, someone who carries the same part of him that didn't abuse him, the son of the mother who left.
On Krypton, all children were engineered.
Except for one.
But upon seeing Kal-El with his own family, it only drove Tal further away.
They don't deserve to lose their lives.
They are inferior to us, Cal.
No, they're not.
As the central antagonist of the entire season, he contextualizes everyone and everything else by framing it around the concept of social memory, the idea that there are shared histories you inherit within the groups you belong to, which connects everyone deeper with each other. A lot of marginalized groups have this in regards to sharing historical traumas. While I feel a great kinship with Simu Liu, there is a place for both Krypton and Smallville to coexist, but that requires navigating the ethics between remembering and forgetting. The process of remembering can form bonds between people, but there's also a need to forget sometimes in order to maintain those bonds. In academia, scholars like Ernest Renan argued it's essential for the construction and maintenance of national solidarity and identity, but there's also a great quote by Mistel, who said, "The value of memory needs to be evaluated in terms of its capacity to benefit others." The show's version of this was how Jor-El taught his son Kryptonian culture, but not at the cost of the culture he was raised in. Instead, Clark ended up wearing the house symbol on his chest to look after everyone, making him and Lara proud.
Go. Reconnect with the world. Open your heart to them.
This world, it welcomed you.
Find out why you wish to be their champion.
Lara then hosts Lana Lang to create a conversion machine to restore Tal's victims. She effectively gives her son permission to move on from Krypton. Move on from her. Forget in order to reconcile.
On Krypton, I had all the hopes and dreams one could ever have, and I lived them all. And then one day, those hopes and dreams were for the son I just had. Thank you, Lois, for making them come true.
Furthermore, Smallville itself is a place that carries its own social memory. It remembers Martha Kent's contributions to the community. It holds annual festivals to benefit each other. It's a place which is an archive of many old-fashioned intimate values, histories, and attitudes, which it invites everyone to be part of, which continues to give those values life. Memories aren't just something held, they're performed.
Moving on can be a distraction. Sometimes to heal, you've got to sit with the feeling, let it run its course.
This small town was hurting.
This is the only planet you've ever known. So you don't know the pain of losing one.
And I'm free to just drive out of here.
And people in this town are going to want answers.
Please, tell me what Morgan Edge did to my son.
All the times you were gone, you lied to us. You both did.
It's simple. If there really is a war coming.
An event this big could have destroyed it.
Your miscarriage wasn't because of something you did or didn't do.
But it didn't. We brought it back together.
It was something that happened to you.
This is all your doing. It was your influence that made him turn his back on his own people.
I saw people find strength they didn't know they had.
You're good people, Lois. And I'm real happy you're part of this town.
You guys got to have that together. It's a great memory to hold on to.
I was so excited to meet her.
And if you had died, the only person that would have been to blame is yourself.
All this time I thought I was okay.
Yeah, there's nothing in here.
The box is the
We
gift.
just gotta be on the same page going forward.
We're gonna need all the help we can get.
All I wanted was a family, Cal.
I don't even know where to begin. Whatever happened, we're together, all right?
This is a show of trust.
I'll let you live.
Rerouting unsuccessful. John, do you copy?
Doesn't mean I'm ready to fight by your side. I understand. If you change your mind, you know how to find me.
However, this whole time I've not talked about Superman's sons, because this isn't just a show about the trials and tribulations of middle-aged hairy people, but it's also a teen drama too. I I distinctly remember telling my normie best friend about Jordan and Jonathan, and they immediately dismissed the show out of hand when I said one was an introvert with curly dark hair and the other is the perfect son. The cliche. What the hell was that? But the twist is that Green Day got superpowers and the other has to deal with it.
I'm the one that didn't want you to know. Why?
I really love these two, because instead of deriving all the drama from jealousy, there is a bit of that later on, but the main focus is on how they support one another, even after all the shouting.
I'm trying to move in on your not girlfriend.
It's not a denial. I'm really sorry you have to lie for me like that all the time.
Like Jonathan helping Jordan secretly play American football as a way of building confidence and make friends.
He's been happy for the first time in forever.
Jonathan grew up as the golden child, expected to be the one with powers, so he's always looking after his little bro.
My skills on the field? Legit.
They are effectively what Tauro wanted so badly. However, in season 2, the twins get f***ed in the ass in 2 different ways. Jordan's girlfriend Sarah Cushing, who he spent the whole last season fighting for, cheats on him.
I kissed someone?
But because it was with a girl, the show doesn't treat it with the severity it deserves. Instead, Homeboy is forced to prove he cares about her.
Hold you.
It's a shame because I like Indy's performance, but she's handed a bomb and didn't survive.
Matt, I'm sorry.
While Jonathan ends up using drugs, which gets him expelled and the team disqualified.
I'm still incredibly disappointed in you.
His character never recovers from this to the point that he ends up being a different actor, and he also trains to be a fireman instead of going back to school, so he can get shouted at by Cal Cushing.
I'm sorry,
You were a liability today.
Speaking of Kyle, my boy, Cal Cushing, Sarah's father and Lana Lang's husband. You see, it's like poetry, it rhymes. Kyle is the key to everything. If he doesn't work, the whole show doesn't work. He starts out vibing like a MAGA countryside dude who saw the decline of Smallville and got suckered into believing billionaire Tauro had their best interest in mind, which immediately puts him at odds with Lois.
You reporters can't keep your politics to yourselves.
Edge's companies prey on struggling communities.
So when his support backfires, everyone blames him for season 1's disaster. In a Warsaw show, he'd just be the town's bully from beginning to end, completely irredeemable and never learning his lesson. But Kyle kept his chin high, sobered up, accepted his mistake, and in season 1's climax, he earns back the town's trust through his actions, not his words, which means he gets to go back hosting barbecues for everyone.
Call them victory ribs.
Therefore, he becomes Lois and Clark's most reliable civilian friend, someone who will be there for Clark till the very end of his life, becoming my favorite character, next to Sam Lane, because he feels so real, dude.
There's no way around it. I'm flat broke.
Beneath his smile is a persevering heart that loves this town more than anything. A love which endures and allows him to change. The show says Lana is the best of Smallville.
Mayor Lang are the best of Smallville.
But nah, man, Kyle is the best of Smallville.
You and I didn't really see eye to eye.
That is putting it lightly.
All right, I make no excuses. But look, I think that's what makes this all so much more special. Despite all that, my acting a fool, the two of you've been there for us every step of the way.
The best part of this town is not the wealthy or powerful, but the most human. People who can overcome their political differences by admitting their mistake and being a good neighbor. However, he too gets butt-fucked because just as Lana runs for mayor, it's revealed he cheated on her before season 1 started. And now they have to divorce, and the entire season follows this fallout. Thanks, Superman and Lois. At least Kyle continues to root for Lana's happiness.
All I ever wanted was for you to be happy.
If season 1 was the classiest Superman film about a middle-aged man you can get, then season 2 is the dark second chapter that divides everything that was built from before in the form of a big sloppy disaster movie. Everyone's lives are ruined and everyone argues, which makes season 2 way harder to watch. The storyline I found the most egregious was the Lanes.
Everyone, please calm down.
Lois' sister Lucy got suckered into a cult run by some self-righteous new age lady, Allie Alston, who preaches and believes the pain we all experience is due to a divided existence because there's another universe out there with our second halves.
Why try and force that on the rest of the world?
Because we couldn't survive that way. We need others. We can't be
people we should merge with or something in order to answer this loneliness. The bizarre universe. But this leads to an apocalyptic event, which on their side is hopeless because this cult consumed everyone, including Lana, Tauro, and Jonathan Kent.
Cal, have you ever considered that maybe Allie is right?
Anyway, Lois and Lucy hate each other because of their unspoken resentment, while poor daddy Sam Lane didn't have the capacity to say the right thing because he's just an old soldier.
I have to do this for me.
I kind of hated this entire storyline, I'm not gonna lie, and it blows my mind that Lucy drugs Sam, becomes responsible for luring Superman into a trap where his powers get sucked out of him, and she doesn't go to jail or suffer any repercussions.
I'll see you soon.
Lucy's plot next to Sarah made me literally want to punch a wall, but I wouldn't do that because Superman wouldn't want me to, and I want to be like him. I wouldn't want to be like Bizarro though. The only person on Bizarro World that wasn't brainwashed was Lois, Jordan, and Superman, but they're not a loving unit. Instead, the entire family became celebrities. Therefore, all that was good from home, despite also living in Smallville, was lost from all the drugs, fame, and pressure.
But Jonathan never felt heard or seen, and it turned him into somebody I can hardly recognize.
The idea here is that if everything was flipped, would people feel more whole? The answer is no. Bizarro's Superman looked for redemption by crossing universes for his mission, which then fails because he had no one to help him destroy the pendant thing, which takes two. He then gets killed. Furthermore, Abby's plan to merge the two worlds together to make people feel complete with themselves is also a lie.
Just after we started to merge, where I felt you.
That's not the same thing.
No, it's not.
Ceasing to feel lonely can't come from merging with a fantasy version of yourself, because if you're unhappy with yourself, if you feel incomplete, you'll always project that unhappiness onto others, and there's no escape from that. But you can find a feeling of completeness with those around you by simply listening to them.
Well, I want you to know.
And what better way to present this than with the character of Tal Rowe. Homeboy gets a redemption arc because he says what he feels and he becomes the family's uncle.
Well, these are for you. Are you serious?
This turn is why I absolutely love his addition to the Superman lore. I wouldn't have a problem at all with the idea of him becoming an official character, apart from the idea of him being hunted by the British countryside. You. Unfortunately, Taro then enters the Bizarro world at the end to find his wife, Bizarro Lana, and he's never to seen again because the show stopped being able to afford Adam Rayner as it suffered more and more budget cuts. Sad times, but we do get Natalie Irons, who doesn't get a lot to do, but she gets a suit, so that's cool.
You need to get on board.
All the adults lost so much of themselves from living with their own secrets and mistakes that they can't help but to pass them on to their children. But Jordan, Jonathan, and Natalie are young enough to admit their mistakes and actually take action over their own lives. Thus, it's from the adults considering what the kids see. They actually gain the strength to simply communicate, therefore find some semblance of redemption.
Listen, you want some advice? Best let sleeping dogs lie. A lot of times where there's mystery, there's danger.
Okay, well, clearly I didn't want Candace to get in trouble.
Well, maybe she should have. She was selling drugs.
It's just that whenever I don't fit into whatever Lois has imagined for me, I feel like I've let her down.
It must be hard.
Mom, this is pretty big to me.
I know, sweetheart, and I promise you I am on your team.
Then you shouldn't have talked to her without at least asking me first.
Especially coming from someone who loves you.
That's the thing, it's not love, it's her judging me. So every time she says, I love you, it feels like she's lying.
You're right.
I'm sorry.
You were in shock.
She was my daughter in that other world, and
I felt nothing.
But the barriers Zeta erected were insurmountable.
Oh, you stand here pleading walls were too thick, gates were too high, when we both know the true obstacle was your own heart.
There's absolutely nothing you could have said or done to change that.
but I know how she felt. And she must have been so crushed seeing me look at her that way.
You left me in the hands of a monster.
Easy, Tom.
Do you know what it was like living under that man's thumb? The pain he inflicted?
That was not my decision.
Lucy, your sister did the best she could.
No, Dad. The reason Lois was hard on me was because she hated me.
If you'd chosen a different path.
There is no choice in this life, only the illusion of such.
I think you're wrong.
Lois, you still look at me today the way you did back then. Like, I'm something you're shackled to, a constant disruption in your perfect life. I'm so sorry that I ever made you feel like you were a burden.
She believes there's still good in you.
Do you feel the same?
Because the truth is you were my life raft. I wouldn't have survived our childhood without you.
No, but I want to.
And I still need you. Raising Jonathan and Jordan has taught me a lot about love. You can't just say it. You have to mean it and you have to show it.
You really want my advice? I'm the lying son that let everyone down, remember?
It's not who you are, John.
Really? Look at the other John. I'm messed up on two worlds.
No, you're just kids. Dealing with circumstances the best you can.
Please give me a chance to prove how much I love you.
You're the alpha in this relationship. Okay? You set the tone. And I think the best thing you can do is just be honest.
Anyone can make a bad decision. The true measure of someone's character is what you do afterwards.
You need me.
I need you alive. You gonna take this thing apart?
You and me, we're so much stronger now.
God damn, my wife's gonna be Mary Smallville.
No, she's running for mayor of Smallville.
Okay, I'm an
Do
optimist.
you think that you would stay with Lois if she cheated on you?
I don't know, I feel like everybody in this family is great at something. I want it to be great, I guess.
I need to know the details of the situation first and then make a decision from there.
I mean, my mom abandoned us and my dad was never around and I turned out okay.
Okay might be a
Tread carefully.
bit of an understatement because you're perfect.
Okay, there it is. That wasn't terrible advice.
That's kind of where I'm sitting at the bar as a dad.
He looks like one of those pirates in the Islands movies.
Pirates of the Caribbean? Dad's not really familiar with any movie not named Delta Force.
Just saying, that first one still holds up.
Cal, tell your son I'm sorry. I'm not expecting you to forgive me. I hope only that you'll allow me to explain what I've only recently discovered myself. My father set me on a path, but I was convinced that if I fulfilled his dreams, then my own might also come true, that I may one day be reunited with my brother. I had no idea that Cal already had a family of his own, and when he chose you over me...
I thought coming here would prove that you and the other Superman were the bad guys. But instead it was Allie and me. How could it be so wrong?
I saw you as an obstacle that I needed to overcome. But I was wrong, and I'm sorry.
After everything that I've done, you would still try and save me. I've told you before.
To me, everyone's worth saving.
If I hadn't wasted so much time doing someone else's bidding, I might have found a family here, in all of you. We'll never know.
I'm sorry, there must be a misunderstanding. Does that say who these are from?
Just says Uncle Tal. That mean anything to you?
No.
Absolutely.
You gotta trust.
But you can trust me, Lois, when I tell you I will never hurt anyone you love again.
What, so dude brings you some flowers and then all is forgiven?
He risked his life to save ours, not once, but twice.
What are you doing?
I'm not leaving you, not again.
Get this off!
Whatever's coming, Luce, we're gonna face it together.
Just because we live a divided existence does not mean that each of us is not an essential piece of the puzzle.
Sarah is, sweetheart. He's gonna want 10%.
It's damn right I am.
So this time last year, you were trying to destroy the world, and now you're fighting for it.
I'm not fighting for the world, Cal. I'm fighting for you. You and your family are the only people on this planet that truly matter to me.
I love you too.
It worked.
It'll never be like it was. And I don't think it's fair to either of us if you think it will.
Being with you. That's all I ever wanted. How about our last dance?
Maybe we just kind of need to reset, be honest, talk to each other and see how we feel.
All right.
During all this time, I've not talked about the other most important character, Lois. This version is not a lonely career woman that wanted the perfect man, then came Superman. She actually distinctly resented him for taking the Daily Planet's front page away from the more serious local stories.
Metropolis has so many problems that aren't just rescue operations, they're systemic.
So Clark would then try to correct this by being the best possible companion for her, covering these stories. And then, ironically enough, she fell in love with him.
How can I help? That's okay. He's a lucky man.
I love Bitsy Tulik. You can almost imagine her in biographical continuity with Erica Durance and Rachel Brosnahan, where she was someone who experienced all the forbidden fruits Clark didn't, because in her 20s, she was a potty chick without a real home. Then in her 30s, she had to train herself to become a relentless professional to succeed in journalism. Now at 40, she's built herself a home, using her life experiences to understand the twins' social life needs and be an authoritative figure. She balances Clark's shortcomings.
Listen, all I'm asking of you guys is to cut your dad some slack.
It's especially poignant upon reflection, as Clark's last words to her in the end were,
Everything good in my life came from you.
And it's true, she didn't just save him from potential villainy, she was his conduit to a complete life. The first person he trusted gave him a father again, the home he always wanted, children who then pushed him into enjoying life at its fullest.
I've never...
Oh.
If he didn't first trust her, he wouldn't have then trusted those that would end up being there for him in the afterlife. So, season 3 rewards her by giving her cancer.
Are you sure?
This arc was pretty hard to watch because it aired when I had to deal with the reality of it at home myself, but revisiting it, I can appreciate its purpose. Season 3, instead of dividing the characters, it uses the social effects of cancer to bring the characters together, and that includes the villain too, Bruno Mannheim. Lex has been in prison for decades, so we have Fred Johnson from The Expanse, Chad L. Coleman in charge of crime. He's f***ing awesome. Bruno is not looking to rule the earth, he's just a kingpin running his criminal empire that perhaps does evil shit like kill this universe's John Henry.
Bruno Mannheim is the person that killed John Henry Irons.
But he also uses his resources to help Metropolis's neglected black neighborhoods, which were drained by Lex and overlooked by Superman.
I transformed this community. I gave my people hope.
He even funds cancer research for his wife, Pia. Therefore, he's not irredeemable. Bruno loves his wife and son. And I'm not gonna lie, that trip would have made me fall asleep if it wasn't for Chad's performance.
The whole time you've been on this planet, you haven't changed a damn thing.
The purpose is to symbolically mirror the Kents to the extent that Lois befriends Pia and becomes compromised.
That would ruin our lives. I don't want to do that to her.
But like you said, they aren't us.
But the show from the very beginning had this problem where you don't really know if it's making a character seem unreasonable for their sentimentality, or if they're making them geniuses because the show actually morally supports them. Season 3 trips on this even more now that cancer is involved and the characters have to navigate what lines they should or shouldn't be crossing. However, like, Pia has killed people, like a lot of people, so thank God for Steel.
I get that Lois may have bonded with her during her treatments. She's a bad person.
John Henry Irons is the bad cop to Superman's good cop now, which is fucking adorable.
Really good to see you on your feet.
John Henry.
The poor man was just trying to live his life, be a single dad, connect with his sister, and there's even a spark between him and Lana.
I'm glad you asked me out.
So am I.
But life kept at him, and his only reaction is to dissociate.
John. I know you're not her, but...
Every day he not only sees the only woman he ever loved be alive, but she's with the man who killed her. So he's had to accept that these people merely look like the ones from his Earth. They're strangers, really.
I don't mean to overstep, but...
However, this means he's used to disidentifying with his own feelings. He's had to create an armor around his heart. Thank you, thank you. You can see in his reaction to Lois's cancer, he closes himself off.
Maybe we could give her mom's watch?
Why would you do that?
I mean, I can engrave all our names on it. Show her that we're rooting for her, that we care.
She was in trouble, I realized that she was my friend.
So, in regards to Bruno or Pia, he becomes pretty ruthless, and who could blame him? Unfortunately, Natalie is dating Bruno's son, Matteo. Natalie is more emotionally integrated into this world, you see. Since our Lois had a miscarriage, therefore Natalie is to an extent that child from a parallel world. The ethics around this is really clunky and kind of fucked, but that means she ends up being kind of like a sister for the twins and a granddaughter for Sam.
Really liked having brothers.
Overall, I like her. Unfortunately, the show can't think much for her to do apart from get into arguments like everyone else, or this Romeo and Juliet storyline. At least the resolution is okay because Mattel is actually a good kid.
Wait, does this mean I'd go to the DoD Academy?
Where Matteo...
So, Steel really shouldn't have been so blinded with his anger and rage. The Irons broadly connects to the season's broader idea that empathy for others should be fundamentally unconditional.
Promise me my son will be looked after. You have my word. And I know exactly what kind of man you are.
Even if they're the worst people, even if they're friends that you don't want to cross any lines with, you shouldn't disconnect yourself from your own humanity because it's actually advantageous. And the greatest advocate for this is, of course, Superman. I gotta say, my favorite moment this season was when Superman, despite just being attacked by Pia, sees her cancer and still offers to take her to the hospital immediately. That's f***ing Superman.
I had to take her now, or she's gonna die.
This moment happens again at the end, when he uses his godlike indestructibility to hug her during her final moments. Thus, Bruno Mannheim surrenders quietly, and during Superman's final days, they actually help each other to change the world for the better.
He's really serious about this?
All of this wouldn't have happened if Clark and Lois shielded their hearts during this shared vulnerable moment. Instead, they used it as an opportunity to build a bridge. So Superman is characterized almost entirely as a caregiver this season. As a result, despite being smaller in scale, this season feels like an escalation in terms of emotional scope. As I quote from Bevins and Sternberg, the level of distress reported by many of those caring for someone with cancer can be equal to or greater than that of the cancer patient. In addition, those reporting higher levels of emotional distress also report more problems with fatigue, sleep impairment, and unhealthy behaviors. As melodrama, it works coherently with Superman. The drama for the other characters, not so much.
Stop making me feel weird whenever I'm around you.
Sometimes I really wish I never fell in love with you.
They can't just let Jordan focus on learning his powers with his dads and just be friends with Sarah, which is how it starts. No, he has to cry about her all the time, get into trouble for saving too many people, and then get the biggest bollocking when he anxiously boasts for a second.
Guy's a total badass, right? What, goggles though?
He even gets disallowed from using his powers. Everyone just treats him like dirt.
It is about me, it's my life. And you're not helping, so can you just stay out of it?
John Kent's actor Jordan Elsas was replaced by Australian dude Michael Bishop, and I think he's great actually. The transition benefits from the first episode showing his childhood photos during the party, and also he's playing Jonathan in a completely new phase in life. He was the cocky jock with a heart of gold that made mistakes, and now he's learned from them, and it's just a big dumb kid trying to be better. So the difference in performance ends up working out.
Hi.
After Kyle's divorce, he ends up with Chrissy, which is cute. It's like two likable people living their life, and Kyle finally finds out Clark is Superman, which was great, even though I wished they did something more with it.
By the way, I really appreciate you not lasering my ass at time that I pantsed you in gym class.
I love the show, I really do, but it feels like it's spinning in circles after season 1 because one of the central concepts established in the beginning was that life goes by so fast. That's why Martha wanted the family to move back to Smallville.
She wanted me to come home.
But it's also a CW show, which means it has to adhere to a certain status quo every season. Jordan and Jonathan don't actually get much older, characters have to argue about nothing, like Kyle getting mad at Chrissy for keeping Superman's secret.
Kyle!
This is funny.
It's just constant melodrama, where people just shout at each other loads, and it makes revisiting season 2 and 3, despite their strengths, a pretty diluted experience.
In the end, I was the only one who could get to her. So I told her it was okay to let go. Try to make those last moments as easy for her as possible.
The sky was falling, and why'd you make it so hard?
I don't know what I want to do.
Well, look, for starters, you can just put down whatever it is you don't need, you know, your guilt, your fears. And replace all that with something that gives you purpose. You know, something that gives you a sense of responsibility.
Is this you talking or the cancer?
Dad.
Because it sounds to me like you're letting this disease cloud your judgment.
You're starting to sound like Clark.
For once, I agree with him.
I felt terrible all the time I'm around her.
I get it. But as a parent who made a lot of mistakes, don't let that anger inside him fester much longer.
Jordan, it's not about whether or not you use your talents. It's about why you're using them. People knowing who you are, getting your picture taken, all that, it's not going to fix what you think it will. Now, wanting to help people, wanting to make a difference in the world, if that's your true north, you'll never need the other stuff.
Season 4, though, is a completely different animal. You see, the show was planned for 7 to 8 seasons, but in the face of being reduced to one shortened season, they've condensed 3 seasons worth of story into 10 episodes. Therefore, every episode, they're willing to go further than any other piece of Superman media before. And what's glorious is that it retraces itself back to the very first steps, the motto that started it all, with the new theme of lost time. Superman f***ing dies. Lois frees Lex because she has actually accidentally got him nicked for a crime he didn't commit, as opposed to all the other ones he did. So, due to the time he lost, he tortures a malnutritioned Bizarro into doomsday. Usually there's a symbolic competition between Lex and Superman, where one was born with powers and does everything he can to give, the other is a billionaire who feels entitled to take everything. But how do you give Lex thematic relevance to a show where worship or popularity aren't themes? Well, you give him a broken home, of course. I didn't really buy Michael Cutler's originally as Lex at the end of season 3 because he was just some angry biker dude. But season 4 explains why. He actually grew up on the streets.
She took that anger out on me.
As a result, he's all about protecting his masculine persona. He has to push everyone away and be vindicative. That's why his wife divorced him.
See how lonely I am.
Thus, all he has left is his daughter. It's Simmons! Lex perhaps didn't have a good home, but the act of making one for someone else could have potentially transformed him, but he just won't let go of Lois because he won't let himself feel weak.
Don't do this, Elizabeth.
If you truly want to break the cycle, you'll leave this all behind.
The great tragedy is that Lex is almost as old as Sam Lane. He's about to be a grandpa, in fact, so the time he lost with his daughter will continue to be lost now, despite his freedom, all due to his unwillingness to focus on home. Thus, in the end, history repeats itself. His right-hand woman Amanda fell in love with him, betrays him because he alienates her, and then he's back into prison.
You're gonna make a hell of a chair.
The last time we see him, he's crying in the afterlife, realizing he's wasted his entire life. As the great symbolic opposite of Superman, Lex is not inspirational, but a warning of how not to live a life. Also, I just want to say I love how when this version of Lex puts on the suit and shaves his face, he perfectly looks like a piece of Lee Bermejo art. Mostly because of how wrinkly he looks. Lex lost time with his daughter, we lost time with the show, and Superman dies immediately into the season. Also, somehow Doomsday with the reduced budget looks better than the one in BVS. The actual Death and Return of Superman arc lasts for only 3 episodes. In a longer season with a bigger budget, perhaps we could have done a more comprehensive version of the reign of Superman. I mean, we literally have a Superboy, Steel, and Eradicator on standby. The only thing that's missing is Cyborg Superman. But instead, in such a condensed period of time, there's no real room for suspense for if Superman is really dead. In fact, Tyler Hoechlin is in every episode through flashbacks. However, what's incredibly smart about this is that they gave his death purpose by highlighting just how beautiful of a life Clark lived. And they use the second best character as a case study, Sam Lane.
Just wear them once for your granddad and then you can take them back.
I love him, mainly because Sam Lane is often a shit in the comics, so the idea of featuring a version who's fully converted as a Superman believer is just so awesome. In this continuity, he didn't approve of Lois and Clark's marriage out of fear that they wouldn't be able to balance life as he couldn't. However, Clark still put out his hand and invited him into this family that was being built anyway. Thus, Sam finally had the home he never had. He didn't lose time, but was given it.
I was closed off and set in my ways, and you fell in love with Clark Kent. But you're marrying Superman.
I want to be clear, I do intend to marry your daughter.
Then why even bother asking?
And they both make me happier than I have ever been.
Because I'd like for you to be a part of our family. Doesn't feel entirely right getting married without him on board, that's all.
You and Clark, you insisted on making me part of your family. Okay, Pumpkin. I trust you.
These are my grandsons, Jordan, Jonathan, and my granddaughter, Natalie.
And that has been the greatest joy of my life.
This was one of Superman's greatest feats, equal to any other godlike achievement. And so, Sam gives his heart to resurrect Superman. However, this means Superman's resurrection is on borrowed time. He's living off of a 60-year-old man's heart that can't handle the Kryptonian body. So, his powers will fade away and he'll grow old. If Superman's impending death in All-Star Superman was a metaphor for cancer in order to spotlight just how truly mythical he is, as his remaining years was filled with him accomplishing the impossible, the point of Superman's impending death in the show is to reflect on just how human his entire life was, where his greatest achievements were the small human ones. His body will not be the same again, but he lived a fully fulfilled life.
It was such a joy to be around.
This note is so powerful that it redefines the entire show's premise, where it's not just about Superman coming home, it's about letting Superman rest, where his parents did. You'd think this is a rich enough concept for an entire season, but then Jonathan can get superpowers too, which then immediately puts Jordan on the sidelines again. However, seeing him as the more tame, experienced one is kind of neat.
John, wake up!
Furthermore, after seasons and seasons of Clark fighting with his kids about keeping the secrets at the cost of their happiness, and whenever they share it, it actually only benefited the family or made their lives better.
Until he told you. Mr. Irons, Miss Lang, Chrissy.
We actually follow this pattern to its logical destination. After an incident in public, Clark asks the twins if it's right to do this, to reveal the truth. Jonathan and Jordan, unlike Clark, grew up in a world with Superman, so they didn't have the fear of being taken away or being alone forever. Instead, they've been pushing people away. It wasn't survival for them, but more like time lost from their own childhood. So of course they're happy for Clark to go public with everything.
I just wanted to give you the kind of life that I had.
You did.
So he can finally stop gaslighting people and protect his family from Luther. This payoff is f***ing incredible for how direct it is. There's no more mountains of mental gymnastics about how noble the secret is. Instead, this version of Clark has never felt comfortable with lying. And now he can admit the truth on TV.
Every day of my life, I've had to hide a huge part of who I really am. And now I won't have to do that.
And the most beautiful thing is, the story doesn't punish him for it. Everyone in Smallville treats him the same. He just doesn't need the glasses anymore.
Morning, Mr. Kent.
Hey, Denise.
There's of course new challenges, but also new opportunities. In the epilogue, Clark uses his notoriety to make the world a better place. Superman doesn't carry his secret to the grave or live in fear to the end. He instead got to live in a beautiful world he inspired, where both sides of him are accepted. The Man of Tomorrow isn't just a promise, it's reality. Not all of us are scientists who can build Voyager Titans or nanonauts, but all of us deal with anxiety created by time. But in those times, hope is something we invest in, and we'll see it off when we close our eyes one last time.
We helped push the needle in the right direction. We gave people a sense of hope.
Like stone, I'm motionless in this world of stories. Like stone, I'm fixed in a framework that is moving beyond my control. Like stone, I'm motionless in this world of stories. Like stone, I'll be here forever.
Season 4 is so strongly written and filled with so many beautiful moments that it retroactively flavors the entire show with more credibility. It's actually crazy, but you know what's more crazy? A normal MCU show apparently has a budget of over $25 million per episode. Superman and Lois previously had $4 million. I dread to know what this season was, because the only way for the show to come back was through further budget cuts.
I am in control, not you!
However, none of this is noticeable until you look for it. Like, one of my favorite scenes is when Lex and Clark are fighting. The streetlights turn red, and instead of getting his ass beat, this version of Clark has had 15 years of experience, so he just pummels Lex. This moment is so satisfying that you don't even notice that these are the same old streets featured in like every other scene, back and forth, over and over and over again. Or how during the entire final fight between Superman and Doomsday, he accidentally lands in the same part of Smallville multiple times. There's also 2 weddings set on the Kent farm, and in contrast to the previous seasons, where every supporting character are always given filler background work, which is f***ing annoying at times, this time they're actually straight up gone for entire episodes until they have something to do, really. Which I actually prefer because it keeps the show more focused, and we don't have to watch f***ing Sarah complaining or something. And you also have just enough time to kinda miss them before they come back. Especially you, Kyle. The reason behind the cancellation is complicated because there's so many conflicting reports.
Warner Brothers had a new head, DC Comics had new heads, Nexstar. The biggest thing is that the CW was sold to Nexstar.
CW's new owners, Nexstar, wanted less scripted content and more cheap stuff, like reality TV. Superman and Lois was never that profitable on its own. It was more successful being sold internationally. In fact, it's the only Arrowverse show on the BBC iPlayer. As a result, a final season of Superman and Lois was only justifiable through cutting the episode count.
We didn't have the house. The house was demolished in season 3. Because we didn't think we were coming back.
We had done 15, 15, 13, and then 10. So it was a shorter season, big budget cuts, and sadly, cast cuts, which is happening more and more across the board. You know, some from all episodes produced to 3 out of 10.
Dude, the fact that that show even went 4 seasons in the years that we had it, with COVID the first 2 years, and then the strike, like the fact that we got through all that, and then the WB Discovery thing, everything that happened to CW's sale. Like, it's a miracle we did 4 seasons.
Apparently, James Gunn and Peter Safran could have potentially saved the show by moving it over to HBO Max, but that would have been really complicated because you'd have to renegotiate everyone's contracts and potentially confuse people with 2 live-action Superman, one older, one younger.
I had the pleasure of exchanging letters with 2 previous Supermans, Henry Cavill and Tyler Hoechlin. They were very encouraging.
It would have been really cool if the show had gotten more seasons, especially in comparison to something like Supergirl, which really dragged itself for that 6 seasons. We would have apparently gotten Darkseid, Brainiac, a darker Jordan arc where he potentially cries even more about Sarah. But I think in only being 4 seasons, and also each season being shorter than the average 22 episode CW Arrowverse show, the show was able to avoid the multi-season CW quality dip. The middle 2 seasons perhaps had some sort of issues and fillers, but each were unique, each accomplished something different, each are valuable in their own unique ways. So, the legacy of Superman and Lois will only shine greater with time. It's a flawed show, and I'd be the first to admit it's not for everyone, but when it was made back when a cold, godlike Superman proliferated pop culture like diarrhea spilling out of someone's anus, it was special having someone who didn't smell like cow dung. Instead, we had this humble, realistic, and optimistic Superman who showed the life cycle of a good man, the sharing of his history through family, letting his children be the best part of him believing in unconditional empathy, and him growing old and dying. Rebecca Snowhair, Arthur Paul, benign but clever alias, Blue as Things, Marshall Rather, Chad Smith 1, Stanley Lamb, Braden Jarrett. If I mispronounce these titles, I'm sorry, and please message me.
No, so I was always very happy to be like, I'm here to service it for as long as it requires me to be here. So if it's 4 years, if it's 10 years, if it's whatever it is, I was like, I'm just here to do what's asked.
I'm not doing anything. You guys are forcing me to be here.